I don't know how to talk about this kind of stuff, so I'm just gonna say it. This is like a thing for me. I feel that God talks to us all differently, and I feel that my brain remembers numbers a certain way, and that is one of the ways that God speaks to me. And it sounds crazy, but it's days like today that make me realize that it's something that I can't deny. I was at home and I was thinking about my family and stuff like that, and something just hit me that I wanted to go to church. And then it was just the fact that I realized that I was out of work finally. I didn't have to work my other job because I just quit it. And I've been talking about wanting to go to church, and it just hit me that it was Wednesday and I wanted to go to church. But the church down the street that I wanted to go to, I missed the service. And so um, I sat here and I started Googling churches, and there was one church that looked just something about it. I think it was like the closest church or that has or said that it was open. And so I called, and come to find out it was some sort of ministry type thing where they help people, but it's like not an actual church, so they didn't do any sort of service. And so they that one looked interesting to me, so I called, and they told me about a church that was run by one of their friends, and they said that they thought it started at 7. And so and by the way, one of the things that I say about the numbers, when I found that church, or when I googled the church that she told me to look up, the time was 555, which is or 555, which is a number that is following me everywhere, it seems. And every time I go along with that number, like, good stuff happens. And looking up like angel numbers and stuff like that, it says that that number represents change, and that number has been apparent through a lot of different changes in my life. And so I just let God follow me, and I just follow, or like God lead me, and I just follow. And so since that one had the 555, I was like, okay, this is the one I'm supposed to go to. But then also something in my brain said, remember that you may not get to that church because they may be closed. That woman may have the hours wrong, but even if you don't get to that church, and that's it, it's going to be okay. You're going to be led to where you need to be. And I just started thinking about how when I was out in Concord, I was led to go to one church, but trying to find that church, I found a completely different church, and it was exactly where I needed to be. God spoke directly to my heart and told me something that I needed to hear, and He took a burden from my heart that day. But anyway, I'm thinking about going to this church. It's 5:55, now it's 3:15, and that's another one that that's how long it was in the video, and I noticed, and that's one that's been heavy. That's like some stuff happened when I was younger with that number, and then that was the house where my life pretty much fell apart. And then I found this bracelet at work. See what I mean? And now it was just 336, and that one led me back here to High Point, so that I'm learning the lessons that I need to learn. This is me following exactly where I'm told to be, and just trying to be content with what's happening, and realize that God is leading me somewhere, and I may not know where it is, and it may be terrifying, but to trust, and to just believe and go with it. And anyway, so I left out of the house, and the time was 6:26. As I go to leave, I take a screenshot, and that represents like family and that type of thing. And that's what's been holding dear in my heart and weighing on my heart recently, is my family. So that was just a little confirmation feeling that I was doing the right thing. So I was leaving, and I left out of here, and I went to go to this church. And as I'm walking down the street, I see this other church, but there's only a few cars there, and I think I'm supposed to be going to this other church, and something tells me, no, stop. So I walk across the street, and I try to ask someone about the service, and they don't really know a whole lot about the service. And so I turn around and I go to walk away. I'm like, I'm just going to go to the one that I was originally going to go to. And as I go to walk away, I pass the address on the church, and it's 1111 on English Road. And 1111 is another one of the numbers that's just been everywhere. So I was just like, fine. Obviously, my thoughts told me earlier that if I didn't get to that one, I was still going to be led to where I needed to be. And here's one of the numbers that's following me there directly is the address on this building. So I said, forget it, I'm gonna go in. And I go in and I speak to the pastor, and he tells me to sit down, and he tells me a little bit about their church and stuff like that. And I just really feel there that I'm exactly where I need to be. And they were serving a meal. It was just like some tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches, but they were doing it for the community, and that feeling right there is exactly what I've been looking for. And now it's 555 in the video. See, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That when I find myself speaking to people about church and missing that kind of type thing, I speak about missing the community aspect of it. A lot of the churches are about me. We need money. We need a church parking lot. We need a bigger dining hall, and I don't like that. That's what I grew up in, and that's what I'm against. I'm for what I just witnessed tonight with these people. I'm for being with the community and, just helping those people. And it's 626 now. Ha. But anyway, it's just as I speak of these things, it's just like constant confirmation also, and that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be in both thought and physically. And like I said, that church is exactly where I was supposed to be today. And it was the craziest thing, because when I went up there, I found 2 different churches that both do exactly what I want in the community. Plus, they had a third guy that runs the community garden here right down the street. And that's exactly what I want to get into, because I'm about to start a garden, and it's time to start it. And he could help me learn that stuff. And I'm about to get chickens, and I can really do something to help the community. They were talking about there were raised beds that had nothing there, that we can plant stuff. I have plenty of stuff that I've been wanting to plant here, and so I can take that stuff to there, and they can help me learn it, and I can bring it back to my home and to my children. And so I also just quit my second job, so I have more time. This is like, if I wouldn't have quit my job that day, I would have never come to this church. This is all stuff that it feels directly led, and it's just the craziest feeling. And so I don't know. I mean, I found the people I needed to speak to tonight, and I spoke to them, and I got all their contact information. And so I see these changes, and I'm going to get in contact with the people that I need to do and what I need to in life. It's very apparent to me that God is leading me, and he's going to show me where I need to be, and he's going to put me there. It's just getting there that's been the scary part. Once I'm there, I know I'm home, and I know I'll be okay. But even that's being brought to me now. I was walking through not a great neighborhood to come home, and as my brain started to feel a little bit of fear, what was said to me in my head was that there's nothing to fear, because God's not going to let anything happen to me. I've learned too many lessons. I've lived too much of this human life and learned too much from it for him to allow anything to happen to me. I need to take this knowledge and these things that I've learned, and I need to teach it until I put this out there, and I help other people learn, and I help other people heal, and I help other people, just get through life. He's not going to let anything happen to me. There's nothing that can stop me. That's not... I can't even fathom that in my consciousness, in my head at all. There's just too much that I've lived and seen and learned, and I see where he's taking me, and I need to teach people and help people, and it hasn't happened yet. So I know it's not my time to go, so there's nothing for me to fear. The only thing that I really have to fear, and I know it's cliche, but fear itself, because the fear is what makes us act outside of our character. When we're in a mode of fear, we're not thinking clearly, and we say and do things that are outside of our character, and it's not us. Fear ruins us, and Most of the time we fear because we feel that we're alone, but when we realize that we're not alone and that somebody always walks with us, we realize that there's nothing to fear except for ourselves. Because us, our human brain, our carnal mind, it's the thing that's going to bring us down. Because God is here for us all the time, and He's here to lead us and teach us and show us. But when we allow our brains to tell us that we think we know better, that's our downfall. Our ego and us thinking that we know best is the absolute downfall of us. I don't really have anything else to say. I just hope I'm just not crazy and just trying to believe in something just because I'm all alone. But I don't think that that's it. I feel this so strongly in my heart and down to my bones. I feel this. I always have. I've just been afraid and ran away.